Jai Guru, good morning, students. It is very pleasant for me to meet you again for your next session. Today we are going to learn our lesson 2, which is from the book Moments, The Adventure of Toto. The author of the story is Ruskin Bond. We first move on to the introduction to the lesson. This is a humorous and adventurous story of a naughty monkey named Toto. The writer's grandfather bought the monkey from a Tonga driver. The pranks played by Toto have been narrated in an interesting way and make the story a must read for us. Lesson and explanation. Now we move to the explanation. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough. And the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. First we clear the meanings here. What is the feeding trough? Feeding trough is a large container for feeding animals, and Tonga is horse cart. In Hindi we call it as tanga. The writer's grandfather purchased a monkey named Toto from a Tonga driver by paying just 5 rupees to him. It's very surprising for you that they purchased that small monkey Toto just for 5 rupees. From the sentence itself we come to know that the story belonged to the ancient times. Now here the writer's grandfather purchased a monkey just for 5 rupees. The Tonga driver had tied the little red colored monkey to a feeding trough. Feeding trough, I already told, it's a large container for feeding animals. Now when he tied this little monkey to the feeding trough, it is why so that he could not run away. When the writer's grandfather saw the monkey, he had a desire to add him to the collection of animals which he had in his zoo at home. You can see here in the picture that this monkey is tied to the feeding trough, and Tonga driver is there also. Now Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened in the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. Now this paragraph tells us about the description of Toto. The writer gives a description of Toto. He had bright, shiny eyes which were full of mischief. The eyes of Toto itself tells us that he is very naughty. The eyebrows were deeply set on his face. His teeth were like pearls. You can see here in the picture that the eyes of the monkey, small monkey, are looked like they are fixed in the face, and their eyebrows are little upward. Now when again about his teeth, the author tells us that the teeth are very white, they are like pearls, and many ladies belonging to the Anglo-Indian community. What is Anglo-Indian? It is a person who relates to both Britain and India, or we can say the person whose ancestor belonged to the Britain and India. So many ladies, those who were belonging to Anglo-Indian community, got scared when they saw his teeth, which were displayed when he smiled. Then what is next? But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked and his tail, while adding to his good looks. Grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone's good looks. Also served as a third hand. Now, here, author tells us about the hands and tail of the Toto. What is about the hand? Toto's hands were dry and wrinkled as if they had been dried in the sun like pickled vegetables. What is pickled? It is the vegetables which were dipped in the vinegar and after that they are dried in the sun. And sometimes we see that the wrinkles are a form of that particular vegetable. Here, the hands of Toto also looked like wrinkled, dried in a hot sun. So it was compared with the pickle, and his fingers also were very quick and wicked. Now, what the author told about the Toto's tail? He said that Toto's tail was like a third hand for him. It helped him hang from the branch of a tree. He also used it to lift objects which were beyond his hand's reach. Now, the next is grandmother always first. What is first? It is she became angry. She was not happy what grandfather used to brought the animals at the home. That's why. Grandmother always first when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. So it was decided that Toto's presence should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Now, this happens with us also sometimes when we want to tell something to our parents, but we wait for their good mood. Is it clear? Now, here also, the writer's grandmother was against the grandfather's attitude of bringing new pets, birds, and animals. So the grandfather thought that they would conceal this fact from her until she was in good mood. They just want to hide this fact that Toto was entered the zoo. At that time, they would disclose this to her. The writer and his grandfather secured Toto in a little cupboard in the writer's room. Now, why they do this? It is in order to be sure that Toto did not escape. They tied him to a hook in the wall. Here, PEG, peg means a hook. But they both had done this, narrator and his grandfather, but it was not so. See what happened the next. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental papers chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. What does this word ornamental means? It's decorative. Now, when the writer and his grandfather went to Toto after a few hours, the sight was shocking. Toto had torn the decorative wallpaper. He had broken the hook and had escaped from his binding. And he also tore the writer's blazer into thin pieces. Here, author was shocked. His grandfather was also shocked. But grandfather was little amazed. He little wondered due to the adventures of Toto. But grandfather didn't worry. He seemed pleased. He became happy with Toto's performance. Here we have some difficult words like uncovered, like naked, that is uncovered. Wrenched means it is broke. Socket, it's an attachment, and shred means it's cut into thin slices or pieces. I hope the explanation is clear for all of you. Whatever the remaining paragraphs, we will continue in the next period. Till then, Keep yourself inside the house and be safe. Thank you.